it's recording after it always pauses when I start. Hello everyone, welcome back. We're going to talk some more about my Switch games, which there are many of. This is part 2. Let's jump right into it. We're starting with D for Doom 2016, released really early for the Switch, and as much as I wanted to buy games for the Switch when this came out, $60 for a re-release of a game that I already had on PS4 but never played. I never picked it up, and then it went and never got reprinted for a long time, and they're not even printing Doom Eternal on physical for Switch. So this became expensive, and I always wanted it, and I picked it up when I saw it for like $45. And then as soon as I paid $45 for it, I went and I played it, and it's awesome, and it's so good. And now I own Doom Eternal physical on the PS4 again, like I did originally for the PS4 with this one. And it might take me a long time to play it, but I'm sure once I play that, it will be amazing. Just have to put it in a package that I will play it on. Next, Dragon, Marked for Death. This is one of a lot of games being made currently by Inti Creates, but also the one that I really can say I know the least about. So Inti Creates does all kinds of these 2D platformer, beat 'em up, just good old school mechanic style stuff. And this one, just by having their name on it, I had an interest in it, but I don't actually know that much about it. It just says side-scrolling action RPG on the back with some classes and characters and whatever. But I don't actually know that much about it, and it has to be tried out at some point. But there's a lot of games like that, so I'm glad I have it because I do like Inti Creates. Azure Striker, that's what they do. Bloodstained and Azure Striker. Duck Game. This is a Best Buy printing limited run version of a game from Adult Swim Games that I think fittingly for Adult Swim Games harkens back to I think a lot of browser flash games from the mid-2000s in that they're pixel art, they're easy to pick up and play, they are fast-paced, they are multiplayer-oriented too. This is a great local multiplayer game actually, even though I've only played it with one other person multiplayer. It's really good for a game that you can play, if you've played it a bunch of times before, you'll still kind of be on a level playing field with people who haven't, because every level is procedurally generated, and the layout and the weapons and sort of just the general feel of the level is always different when you get into it, and you just, as quick as you can, figure out the controls, mad dash to, get near people or get away and figure out a strategy and take people out, and last duck standing wins the round. Great game, and there's a dedicated honk button, just like Untitled Goose Game. Next, another Bethesda game, just like the Doom port. This came out real early. I actually bought this way before Doom. I bought it the year that it got released, because I figured, God, I've tried to get into Skyrim. I really have. If I don't get into it with this one, then maybe it's not for me, and maybe I'll try this again at some point, but I haven't. It hasn't taken yet. But my point being that I don't ever have to buy Skyrim again. I have this version, and I won't ever feel like I need it more. And now it's tough to find, too, because Bethesda just didn't bother to print Switch games. Enter the Gungeon with an adorable all-orange cover. This is a roguelike... top-down shooter. Some people are really, really crazy about this game. I think it's cute. I think it's really cool style and well-done mechanics and controls and everything. But although I have not played a ton of it, had to get this release with the adorable cover and everything, and even the papercraft bulletkin that comes inside of it. Very cool. Now on the procedurally generated, which is a word I've been using a lot lately, these past couple games. Everspace Stellar Edition, procedurally generated space exploration and dogfighting, which I thought I might enjoy, but didn't really get into it. I thought, without getting into the planet exploration, on-foot exploration that comes with No Man's Sky, I thought, condensing it down into this one game I might take to it, but didn't really. But I've seen a lot of people really, really enjoy this game, so it's just not for me. But I do still have that. Flipping Death. This is a side-scrolling, a 2D style platformer, but is also a lot like a point-and-click adventure. And you can tell by the art style that this is made by Zoink Games. I really like them mostly after playing Zombie Vikings on the PS4, which is a beat 'em up. So I haven't really played this because I haven't played it in a long time, even when I did play the little bit that I did of it. But I do like their style and I do like their sense of humor. But this genre is not something that I got into as easily as Zombie Vikings, but I do like their games. Next, I think this is the first that I will have talked about any of the VGNY Soft releases, which we actually carry at work. VGNY Soft out of Video Games New York, in, of course, New York City. I might have already talked about one of these, but anyway. This is one of their bigger ones, Finding Teddy 2, which I have actually seen before the first time they released it on Wii U. And they also have the Finding Teddy 1 as a Dreamcast release that they do a lot of Dreamcast releases because they're easy to do. This is number 360 out of 1500, and this is a 2D platformer that seems to be well received and everything. Has some cool wall jumping, very Celeste looking mechanics to me, actually. So I don't know that much about like story wise or anything like that, but I do like all these. Funny thing about all the VGNY Soft games is there's two of them that I knew I would have really wanted as soon as we started carrying them at work, and I went to buy those two, and then I said, I'm gonna really hate myself if I end up wanting the other ones down the line. So basically, all these that are coming out, I'm buying all of them, no matter what they are. They do all look really cool, but there's two that I specifically wanted, and I just didn't want to cut out the other three. This is one of the ones that I bought because, like, oh god, give me all of them. Not one of the ones that I was like, I have to have that. But I do think it looks cool. The Flame in the Flood. This is the second. This is the number 2 release from Super Rare Games, one of several, like VGNY Soft, that are doing very small physical releases of, indie games. I think most people might have heard of Flame in the Flood. This is one of their, like, bigger games to have been released. This is actually after the third Super Rare Games release. I have not bought another one at launch because after the third one I got it and I was like not super into it. I still have it and we'll talk about it eventually, but after 3 games from this company I was like, oh god, I cannot buy everything that they do. But this is I think this is another procedurally generated game. God, there's a lot of those, huh? Survival game. I have not played this at all. That's the other thing too, is I was buying games that I thought looked cool but wasn't gonna go play as soon as I got them, or I wouldn't have bought on the eShop separately. So I have this, and I'm glad that I own the first 3 releases from them, but have not spent any time actually playing it. Oh god, another one of those that I have not spent time playing, Gal Metal. This is Gal Metal World Tour Edition. And I will tell you the reason that I haven't played this, because you can't play it in handheld mode. Or not really, or can't get the full experience in handheld mode, because this is a rhythm game that you play drums with, and you're supposed to play the drums with the Joy-Con separately. And I picked this up, and I thought it was cool and everything, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. I just, it has to be, it's a situational thing. I've never felt like playing this game, felt like trying this game, and been sitting on the couch with my Joy-Con at the ready that I could actually use them that way, so. Ghost Parade, published by Axis, which is usually something that I'll be somewhat interested in. This game looks to me, this is actually kind of funny. So, when Balan Wonderworld, which just came out, was first announced, I thought it looked awesome. I was like, I really want to play that. That's by the guy that does Sonic and everything. Like, mechanics look cool, design looks cool, world looks cool. Obviously, it's not going that well. It just came out and is being widely panned, unfortunately, and that's a shame. But Ghost Parade, I might be completely wrong about that, but Ghost Parade looks a lot like a 2D Balan Wonderworld that kind of works. So that is primarily why my interest in that game exists. Although I only just bought it and I haven't opened it yet. Ghostbusters, finally, a game that I actually played. Ghostbusters, the video game remastered. Loved this game, one of my favorite games that I played on PS3. Had to have it on the Switch and played it and loved it again. Highly recommended, really. I mean, not much had to be done to this game, but I'm glad that it exists. Because I think it was getting harder to find on 3 360 and PS3. Excuse me, goddamn coffee. I think it was getting harder to find, so this re-release came around right at the right time. And yeah, like there's nothing really to write home about as far as the re-release, like anything done differently. I just love this game, and I have it on Switch now. I love it. Golf Story. Oh my god, one of my favorite games of the first year of the Nintendo Switch. One of the first games that I bought when it was just a download because I thought it looked great. This is, if you like Earthbound style, like silly, funny RPGs, this is a game for you. Don't be discouraged by the fact that it involves golf. Golf is a framing device. You do like play rounds of golf like with the traditional 3-click mechanic, but like the characters, the world design, the quests, the story overall is so great. I really love this, and this is the limited run physical release. The manual that it comes with does not go to the game at all. It actually goes to the game within a game, Galf, which is basically little NES cartridges that you find across the world that have different courses on them so that you can play, essentially, a NES Golf. A recreation of NES Golf, at least mechanically, inside of the game. It's very, very fun. It fits the game perfectly. I love it. Grip Combat Racing. This is a Wired Productions release that is largely an homage to some late 90s futuristic racing games like Roll Cage. Mostly Roll Cage, like that. I always think of that game when I think this game. There's some other games like it too. Like, sort of the Wipeout and the other like PS1 era like Combat Racers. Red Asphalt might be in there if you want to think. Just what comes to mind off the top of my head. I don't know why I said Red Asphalt, but I said Red Asphalt. The coolest thing about this game that I haven't played much of, though, the logo is the same upside down. So that's fun. I like that. No, I do like this game. I think it looks cool and everything. I just haven't spent a ton of time on it. God, I say that a lot, don't I? Guacamelee, the 1-2 Punch collection. Wanted to get this on physical for a long time, just because I've heard so many good things about it. And no, I still have not really played it, but Guacamelee 1 and 2 on a physical with a nice manual and stuff, and yeah, it's a very nice package for a game that you've probably heard of and have heard many good things about. The next one for the VGNY Soft Games, this is number 87 out of 1500 of Guns of Mercy, a Contra-style side-scrolling shooter for up to 4 people, which looks super cool. And I don't have that much more to say about it. I just like it's definitely a cool-looking game with a super limited release, and I will have to check it out at some point. It probably is an easy game to pick up, so that's the good thing about having not played it yet. If I do try to, it probably won't be a whole project or anything. I could probably pop it in one afternoon or something and have a good time with it for an hour and not really have to come back to it. Next, Hades. Holy shit, Hades. This game's awesome. I don't usually like roguelikes, regardless of how many you've seen just today that I've said, oh, it's procedurally generated, it's roguelike, blah, blah, blah. I don't usually stick with them. I don't usually play them that much, but I have still got Hades in my Switch Lite, and going to bed the past 2 weeks, I've had a couple times where I just said, you know what, I'll do one run on Hades, because that is the perfect level of commitment that I will put into a game that, I feel like I need to give it time. God, it's so good, and I'm so glad it has a physical, and it's got a great art book and everything. The characters are great. The combat is fantastic. Graphical style, everything. Buy Hades. It's $25 on the eShop. Sometimes it goes on sale for $20. I'm glad I waited for the physical, and now I can play it, and I think it's just very, very good. I see the hype. I think it's awesome. Hat in Time. Hat in Time. One of the only Humble Bundle game I own, actually, although I do like their releases. Humble Bundle. Hat in Time, I was following this game when it came out like 4 years ago, originally on Steam. This is an homage to 3D platformers, much like the one that I'm playing right now for the N64 Quest, Rocket Robot on Wheels, much like Banjo-Kazooie, much like Mario 64, those type of games. But I think in a way that is much better than Ukulele, the other game that I've seen that tried to do that recently. How do I say this? Hat in Time does a really, really great job of gameplay diversity, like from level to level, and doing like a really good, this is the concept of this level, and this is what you're going to get out of it, and keeping things fresh the whole gameplay, the whole time you're playing. So that was my favorite thing about it. I distinctly remember the Orient Express. I don't know if they called it Orient Express, but the train level, that was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was that's the number one thing I remember about this game. It was awesome. The number one release from Super Rare Games, the very first one, which now has its own regular retail release. So, good thing I have this. But Human Fall Flat is a physics-based 1 to 2 person platformer. It's not really a puzzle or anything like that. The puzzle is that your guys are just falling all over themselves the whole time, and you have to be able to get them to execute tasks. But it is very well done in that sense. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to move things around and, just, I don't know, just not be able to execute basic motor skills and have to do tasks. It's a fun time. I do like it. Just picked this up the other day. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I am not super into the Warrior style of gameplay, and even when I tried Hyrule Warriors, regular one for the Wii U, but the thing that got me to pull the trigger on this is that this is story background, a prequel to Breath of the Wild, which is something I'm super interested in. I will have to give this a shot sooner rather than later, before Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, because that is something that's got my interest. And last for this stack, a third of the way in, Immortals Phoenix Rising. Speaking of Breath of the Wild, this is Ubisoft straight up copying Breath of the Wild in as many ways as they can, and I think they did a solid job with it. I've played a bit of it. I cannot tell you how closely this resembles Breath of the Wild in so many mechanical ways, in so many level design and world design ways, but it's got a sense of humor. I like the setting. I like Greek mythology, anything about that sort of, and I just think overall it's really well done. It's not Breath of the Wild, but it's a close facsimile to that, much like Darksiders is to me a really, really good attempt at doing Zelda in a really close way and still being admirable and not shameless or anything like that. I do enjoy it. And it's a Ubisoft game. It's going to keep going down, so pick it up when it's cheap for sure. Wow. Boys. Alright, next up. This is Into the Dead 2. This might seem like a little bit of a, I don't want to say, like a really cheap cash-in of a release, because this was originally a mobile, like Endless Runner style game. But I think it's actually done pretty well. It's got a lot of upgrades, a lot of like RPG style customization and progression to it. I do think it's pretty cool, and it's not an expensive pickup, so I do recommend it if you see this on Amazon or anything. Ion Fury, a game that I keep looking at and saying, God, I'd really like to play a first-person shooter on my Switch right now, but I don't want this one because I don't want to get stuck with all those old-school mechanics that this game prides itself on. This is 3D Realms doing a 3D Realms style old Duke Nukem first-person shooter, and it's got style and it's got grace. No, it's got a lot of things going for it, and I've seen a lot of good things about it. But it like literally prides itself on the back in the description about key cards, and I go, I don't know if I want that. Not right now. But yeah, this got a limited run release at Best Buy, and I picked it up. And it's very, very nice. They had to, funny story about this, they had to change the name from Ion Maiden because Iron Maiden sued them and said the name was too close. And some people might say that, oh, that's ridiculous, like it's an homage, it's a clever reference. But then you look at the font that they're using, and it also looks a lot like Iron Maiden. I'm like, they had a case. I'm not complaining. I think Iron Maiden was in the right. It'll do 2+. Speaking of Zelda-y games, this is old school style Zelda stuff. It'll do. I never played the original. It'll do. But this is back when I was buying every Nicalis title that was coming out because I wanted all those nice physical versions. And of course, I put like an hour into this game and never played it ever again. But it is a good Zelda facsimile, to keep using that word, like Link's Awakening or Link to the Past style old 2D Zelda. It's very cute. It's cool. A game that I told myself for a long time I didn't need, but eventually I need everything on the Switch. So Katamari Damacy Reroll, a port of the first Katamari Damacy, the only one that I've actually put a lot of time into. So I think that was the other reason that I didn't want to. Was because it was like, play literally any other Katamari game before you play this one, because you've already played this. But, yeah, Katamari Damacy Reroll, where can you go wrong with Katamari? It's amazing. And it's really cheap. It's only like $20 right now. Kirby Star Allies, this is from a couple months ago when I was buying everything Kirby, because I had never played a Kirby game. And I still haven't really played any Kirby games, because that's how I roll. But, yeah, Kirby Star Allies is supposed to be really good. Nothing really that special about it compared to other Kirby games, but still something to look forward to and grab for those first-party Nintendo games that I always will need. Kunio-kun, the World Classics Collection. This is something I actually really wanted to get an English release for a long time. Excuse me, and eventually just said that, like, okay, it's not going to just get this version whenever you see it or whenever you feel like getting PlayAsia, and so yeah, this has all the old NES Kunio-kuns, you know, the ones that we got over here, translated into River City Ransom, Nintendo World Cup, all those, as well as basically all the other Technos games that are related to them, like Super Spike V-Ball, Double Dragons. It's literally got 1, 2, 3 for Double Dragon, Renegade, Super Dodgeball, Crash and the Boys, the ice hockey game, the basketball game, like all of them. It's got all of the old ones. It's got literally 18 games on it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Love the Kunio-kun games. Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel, and the Millionaire's Conspiracy. Wanted to get this basically as soon as it came out on 3DS, and I think I should have actually gotten it on 3DS because the only reason that I have not played this is because it really benefits from a touchscreen. So I started this a little bit and trying to use the cursor compared to other Layton games with the touchscreen and the stylus just doesn't work as well. I don't even think it has touchscreen support. I could be wrong about that. I might have only used the Pro Controller or my Joy-Con to do it. But yeah, I love Layton, and I'm a little bit ashamed that this is the only Layton game I haven't played at all, or past. The only Layton game that I own that I haven't played, because there's still one I don't own. It's expensive. So yeah, I commend Level 5 for doing something with Layton and continuing the series. I might have actually made a mistake by getting this on Switch. I will have to try it again. The OG, Zelda Breath of the Wild, launch day, put 45 hours into it and took on Ganon and beat it and loved every second of it. And have just been way too busy with other stuff to go back to it. But where do you go wrong? Where do you complain? It was good. It was good. Actually, the thing that I've been doing the most with Breath of the Wild recently is the soundtrack, because realizing well after the fact how good the soundtrack was and listening to more of it. And then of course we also have Link's Awakening, great remake. Glad to have any version of Link's Awakening under my belt now, because there's still quite a few Zelda games I haven't finished and haven't played, but Link's Awakening is not one of them, because I played this, and it's really, really good. And I bought the amiibo too, because it's adorable. Little Nightmares 2, very, very high on my backlog at this point. I bought it, obviously, fairly recently, because it only came out a couple months ago. But I love Little Nightmares 1. It's so good. It's perfect mix, platforming and horror and all that stuff, puzzle solving. And, yeah, I probably could have waited on this, but I saw it selling out, and I was worried. You know, FOMO is a terrible, terrible thing in this pandemic-stricken world right now, because everything is insane. But the Stimmy hit, and I also was like, you know what, I don't want to not get it. Give me the Little Nightmares 2. I will play it sooner rather than later, I promise you that. Very, very high on my list of things to get to. Luigi's Mansion 3, I loved it. I loved every second of it. It's so good. Because I love Luigi's Mansion. I love the first one. Second one's pretty good. I just the format I didn't care for as much, and they went back to that old style, that first really big feeling adventure with this one, and it pays off so well. It's brilliant. It really is. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020. Huh? That didn't happen. I spent a long time not thinking that these games were very good until I saw people actually talk about them on YouTube, and I went, oh, wait, it's got, like, the dream events and stuff. Like, it's not just a sports game with the Mario characters in it, because it's made by Sega, and it's not as exciting. I, like, literally never saw the dream events presented as, like, the way, like, the proper Mario sports games that they should have been. So after I found that out, I started getting into them, and I did pick this up last year, although I tried to do it through the story mode, which is probably not the best way to do it, and I kind of fell off, especially because Tokyo 2020 Olympics not happening makes this really sad to play. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I hate the Rabbids. I hate them so much. I hate them. I do not like them, and I didn't want this game basically just on that, but seeing it as a really, really well done and a type of Mario game that nobody ever has done or will do ever again. Really interesting, so I have to get to this at some point. My girlfriend really, really loves this game, though, so I've seen her play it. It looks cool. I like the boss designs, enemy designs, stuff like that. Last of the Mario games for now, Mario Tennis Aces. I got really, really excited for this one. It actually worries me a little bit that I got so excited for this, and then I only thought this was okay. I got really excited over literally seeing, like, special tennis outfits for all the characters, because I thought that was really adorable. It was fine. I didn't quite care for the mechanics in this one as much as I did in past Mario Tennis games. But I also think that kind of reinforces that Mario Golf is always good, whereas Mario Tennis has its ups and downs. Like, the Wii U one was, like, nobody liked it. This one was okay. I know a lot of people really did like this one. But Mario Tennis has its ups and downs. Hopefully, Mario Golf will continue its perfect run. That's all I have to say. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. I think I bought this one. I justified buying this right when it came out because it came out on my birthday a couple years ago, and I was like, let's go have Derek spend money and treat himself on his birthday. And I did like Marvel Ultimate Alliance and everything, but I'm just not that into Marvel the way that so many people are nowadays that you know what it was? I think the other way that I justified this is that it was a Switch exclusive, and I wanted to buy the Switch exclusives and say, yes, people will buy your Switch exclusives if they're not first party. So that was my many levels of justification for buying a game that I haven't really played. For buying that specific one that I haven't really played. Max, The Curse of Brotherhood. This was an early release for the Switch that I thought looked really cool. It gives me big Heart of Darkness vibes from the PS1, although it's actually a sequel to a DS game called Nats and the Magic Marker. And I do think the puzzles and stuff are cleverly designed and everything. There's this weird budgety, like, feel that this game has. Like, some other budget games have it too, but, like, not all of them do. This game, unfortunately, really has a big budget vibe, and it's something that you, unfortunately, can't shake when you're playing it. So, it's not its own fault. It's just, it fails to keep my attention, because it's just a weird vibe that you get from... It's a dumb thing. It's a really dumb thing. Mega Man 0/ZX Collection. I've not really gotten into most Mega Man games, but I will say that, like, the ability to have them at your disposal with so many collections is a good thing. So this was an easy pickup for me because the Zero games, if anything, are going to be the ones that I'm going to be more into than the traditional Mega Mans or the X's. And so, yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and ZX and ZX Advent all in one collection, and it's all on cartridge, like... Unlike the other Mega Man Anniversary collections, I'm glad to have it. So, even though, like I said, Mega Man, I do not get into them very easily because it's an overwhelming prospect to get into Mega Man to me at this point. Seem like I would like those games a little bit better. Mercenary Kings Reloaded Edition. This is the second limited run Switch release. I don't even remember what the first is. I'll remember when we get there. But Mercenary Kings Metal Slug 2D action shooter, kind of like Guns of Mercy, but like not the co-op like Contra style, like more like the Metal Slug. Which, if you say Metal Slug, I'm interested. That's all I have to say. Monkey Barrels, another 2D shooter. This is a more recent Nicalis release, and I don't think they're not doing as many like trinkets and physical goodies as they used to. But Monkey Barrels is a twin stick shooter that I bought because it said has lots of weapons and lots of bosses. And I bought it recently, but I bought it in the middle of buying a lot of other Switch games with taxes, stimmy, overtime pay, buying a lot of Switch games. And this kind of got lost in the shuffle, but I will, play it eventually. And Mortal Kombat 11. So this I got after really not playing 10 on the PS4, and didn't know if I was going to like it, and was told by a lot of people that the performance on this was so bad that I shouldn't buy it. But I bought it. I had no real complaints about that, and the story was brilliant. The gameplay was really, really good. And because I played this, I had to go back and play 10 recently. And when I was playing 10, I spent actually a good amount of time in the crypt over there and saw how they redid the crypt for these newer games. And now I actually have this on my mind to go back to because I want to explore the crypt and see costumes and extra stuff and all that and see how well they do it in this game. And it also has a lot of characters that actually, none of the characters that were introduced in this game, but I was able to catch up with new characters and say that I do like them. Like Aaron Black and Devora. So those guys. Alright, we got one more stack. Let's do this. One more stack, and that'll leave 3 stacks for the part 3 that will come eventually. This actually has been on my mind a lot lately. I just got it like last month from the limited run Best Buy release, but this is the Mummy Demastered. Based on what I've been told is awful. I have actually been looking for a place to watch the Mummy from 2018, 2017. On like a streaming service, and I haven't found it yet. I do want to watch it because I got this, and then I did want to watch The Mummy, and I watched The Mummy Returns, and I watched Scorpion King, and I'll probably watch The Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, which I've never seen. And I just started playing this because I watched the movies, and it's really good, but I've also played other games that are in the similar vein, so I didn't really stick with it. I've played them recently, and I'm like, I'm a little burnt out on these. But this is the best thing to come out of that 2017 Mummy movie, far and away, because it is way forward doing a Metroid-style exploration, big boss shooter, where it just happens to be you fighting the mummy from that movie. Way better than any other tie-in game that they could have ever done. So, good on them. Good on them for getting way forward for that. Mutant Football League Dynasty Edition. This is maybe the only game I can think of that I have made a point to buy every single piece of DLC when it has multiple pieces of DLC. I love this game. I'm so glad that it exists. We're getting, it's, even if you don't like the mutant style, like if you want a blitz style game, like you can enjoy that. It's fun arcadey football. I love having more teams come out, more DLC come out. I'll buy all of it. I will give them money for every follow-up piece of content that they make. My Friend Pedro, Blood, Bullets, and Bananas. A very Devolver Digital game. That's how I'll say it. I thought I was going to be really into it. It is a sort of gunplay, like, let's say it's like a puzzle platformer with gunplay. It's a bit hard to describe. But you have, like, slow motion shootouts that you need to plan out, sort of on the fly and take everyone out in a really high stylized manner. It's a little bit tough to get into, but I think it's really cool for the style of it. There's not a lot like it. A game I've actually been wanting to go back to recently because of NBA Jam 2000 on the 64. NBA 2K Playgrounds 2. I played the first one when it came out too, right after the Switch launched, and I thought it was pretty good. This is definitely a much better version of that. Has, all those elements, many elements of both NBA Jam and NBA Street that they're trying to get back to. I think they do a solid job of it. This game is never very expensive either, so if you have any interest in it whatsoever, pick it up for $15, like on physical. It's pretty solid. It'll get you what you want out of it, I think, for that price. Even if it's not individually as good as Jam or Street. Another of the D&D Enhanced Editions, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. This is the one that I was actually, I think, the most interested in of the Enhanced Editions. This or Planescape, which we'll get to in a couple. And this is actually the one that I've put the least amount of effort into because I just was weirdly overwhelmed by it. Because it's like a full 3D one. I don't know, when you have 5 games presented to you at once that are all this like very complicated old school D&D, this one definitely fell by the wayside, even though I thought this might be the one that I liked the most. Anyway, they're all very well done, I think, but I think people like that one the least too. Next one on Extinction, I absolutely had to play this game and see if it was any good, and I did play it, and I thought that there was basically, if you haven't seen this, it is a Pokemon clone through and through, pretty shameless, but that's okay. It's good to be shameless if you know you're gonna get, like, if that's what you're making, why not just go full on for it? But it's got a lot of shortcomings. If you don't have the patience for a lot of grinding and a lot of going back to town to heal and stuff, then you won't make it very far in this game. But I do think there's a lot of strengths to it. If you think Pokemon's gotten too soft, give it a try. Just at the very least, check out the monster designs and everything. They're quite good. I think it's a very nice game. Owlboy, Sedesco published platformer with a story that I don't remember what it was that was when this was coming out, but it just fell by the wayside for me, and I have not played this. Although I've heard a lot of good things, and I have one friend who's actually very, very into this game. I don't have much else to say about it. Panzer Dragoon, limited run release of the remake of Panzer Dragoon. I think this game, despite being a game that one of the few Saturn games I actually enjoy, this is a really good example of formatting types of games that have not aged well. So I do really like this game, but I cannot stick with it because I have to relearn Star Fox to learn how to play this game for myself. And this game is arcade style and arcade centric, so if you don't do well, you have to go back and you don't get to start again from where you were. And that was tough for me, but I do think it looks really nice. It controls pretty well for the translation from the Saturn game. And like I said, just conceptually, it's always been one of the few Saturn games that I've really been interested in, so I'm glad that this exists. Can someone do something about the second game and fucking Saga just so that people can play those? That's all I have to say. Penguin Wars. This is, believe it or not, a remake of a fucking Game Boy game where you play as animals that are doing some weird, what's the word for it? It's like, it's not shuffleboard. It's, you have balls and you throw them at your opponent's, holes on the other side of the board. It's like air hockey, pachinko, shuffleboard, a mix of those games. And it has adorable animals in it. And it's weird that they try to put that level of mechanic not only into a full game, but into a full story mode driven game. But it is a cool game. I think it's good for a couple hours. It was never expensive in the first place. And it's adorable. But it's weird. The mechanics will take very quickly, but I don't know how long they'll last you. That's about how much I can say about it. The Persistence. Very unusual to have a game that is available on PSVR and I don't really care, and then comes out on Switch and I see it and I do suddenly care and I don't want it in VR. First person survival horror on a spaceship. Not like you never heard of that before, but this is supposed to be pretty solid. So for $20 that you can pick this up for, definitely pulled the trigger on that. God, if I didn't wait on this for forever, PGA Tour 2K21. We finally have a mainstream golf game out again. It does very, very well on the Switch, I think, just as it does on the other ones. I don't think there's any reason to not get this on whatever console you prefer. It's got real pros. Well, actually, I think that was the issue. I don't remember proper because I was using my own character anyway. But real courses, I think the Switch you don't actually get to be the pros. I might be wrong about that. I don't even remember anymore. But it's a well done mechanically golf game. Get it for whatever you want to get it on. Let people know that it doesn't have to have Tiger Woods on it for us to buy it. Also, be good, Tiger, please. And then, so the third of the re-releases for Dungeons & Dragons games. This is the weird combo pack of Planescape Torment and Icewind Dale. I think, like I said, either Neverwinter Nights or Planescape Torment were the ones I was most interested in, because I'd heard a lot of things about Planescape Torment as not just a brilliant game, but a brilliant story of a game, and I think this is the one that I've put the most time into playing the story, although I should have played it on story-centric difficulty, and I probably would have made it longer. But yeah, the characters are really good, and the dialogue is brilliant. I love it. I need to start this again with the story difficulty on and see if I stick with it, because the only thing I really think is it gets very, very tiring, both having difficult combat and having to basically talk to every single person that you see and listen to their whole story and everything. It gets a little bit wordy, but I also appreciate the effort, and I think that it works out really well. Poi Explorer Edition. This is a very, very early release, and that's the main reason that I got it. It's sort of like, I remember this as being like Mario 64 for the tired millennial generation. Like, it's a very slow-paced equivalent of old 3D platformers, which is fine because that actually fixes a lot of things that 3D platformers can't do nowadays to be good. I don't remember anything being spectacular about it. I just remember it was a very nice time playing it. So if you want a nice, relaxing 3D platformer, get this game. We've got Pokemon games. We've got 3 Pokemon games. I'm just going to go through all of them at once. Let's Go Pikachu, brilliant remake, using Go Mechanic. Like, let me say, when we had that Pokemon Direct a couple weeks ago, some people were, like, dreading the idea that they could do Diamond and Pearl re-releases or Heart Gold, Soul Silver re-releases in Let's Go style. And I was like, I'm fine with any of it. I am fine with any versions of those games that they make. So, Let's Go Pikachu, I like it a lot. I would have taken any game with any version of the mechanics that they want to put for Pokemon. Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. This is red/blue version re-released. If I was ever going to get into these games, this was going to be the way that I did it. Unfortunately, I didn't really take to the dungeon crawler RPG with Pokemon all that well. But my girlfriend loves these games, so I'm glad that I have it in my house. And then Pokemon Shield with Expansion Pass. If you're not interested in getting this physical for a download of the Expansion Pass, be aware you could buy this used. You'd still get the Expansion Pass out of it. Whether it's in the patch updates or it's on card in the first place. Just like, I got this as soon as I found out that I could get it on cart, essentially, and get the Expansion Pass. And I've played Isle of Armor. I haven't played Crown Tundra yet. But I did really like Isle of Armor. I have to do stuff with Urshifu before I can leave there, and that's like the only thing keeping me from continuing to play. But I went back to Pokemon Shield for the first time since I beat it originally, because I got this Expansion Pass version, and I was like, oh god, yeah, I loved Pokemon. I loved Shield, and I liked the new style. I liked everything about it. And then all 3 Psikyo Collections, the Asian versions, because if I had just waited and gotten the Shooting Stars Alpha and Bravo, which I never expected to get released over here, I'd have 2 games in nice big boxes. But no, I have I have to have these right now and don't think they'll ever come over here. 3 physical releases. One has, let's say, so basically They spread the games out in a very particular way. Each version has one Strikers 1945 game. Volume 1 has 1, Volume 2 has 2, and so on. Gunbird and Gunbird 2 are spread across the first two. Samurai Aces, Tengai, and Cannon, the Sengoku games, are all spread out. Soul Divide and Dragon Blaze are on the first two, and then Zero Gunner 2, which is really, really good, is on the third one. And then the third one also has Gun Barrage, which is a puzzly one. Everything about Psikyo is great. Every game that they've ever made is really, really good. Get these collections in whatever way you can. Even if you want to download them for $8 a pop on the eShop, play these games. They're so good. And then the last one for today, simply one of the best platformers I've ever played, Rayman Legends. This is the definitive edition. This is now the third time I've ever bought Rayman Legends because Rayman Legends is so good. I talked a lot today. Thank you for listening to me talk about Switch games. I've got 3 more stacks of this size to talk about. We will do that at some time in the next couple weeks. Thank you, bye.